Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. Today we're looking at putting a gradient across a series of shapes in Illustrator, but we're doing also a whole lot more than that. The reason I made this video is that a lot of the videos out there that talk about putting gradients across shapes in Illustrator are just plain wrong. What they say about doing it is incorrect. And it's just a lack of understanding as to what's really happening behind the scenes in Illustrator. So this video is going to be of value to you, even if you didn't want to know how to put a gradient across a series of shapes in Illustrator, because you're going to learn so much about Illustrator itself. So I've created these shapes here, and they're exactly the same shapes. It's just that this one's got a fill and this one's got a stroke, and they're going to work a little bit differently. So first of all, we're going to look at the filled shapes, and I'm just going to select over all of these. I'm going to attempt to fill them with a gradient. So I'm going to the fill. I'm just going to make sure that's targeted. Let's come up to the swatches where I have pre-prepared a gradient. And as you can see, it hasn't been particularly successful. Each one of these two shapes has the gradient across the shape. So from pink to yellow and from pink to yellow. What I was hoping for, or what I'm aiming for, is pink on this side and yellow all the way across here, and a seamless gradient across everything. And of course, this letter A, well, it's not playing the game at all. So I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to undo that. With these shapes selected, I'm going to put them in a group with object and group. And this is typically one of the approaches that people take, and then they try and apply the gradient and say that it doesn't work, so you can't use it. They're wrong. So let's go and see what they do. They go and try and apply the gradient and it fails. Let's undo that. The reason it fails is that they're trying to do exactly what they did a minute ago and put the gradient across all these shapes. They're not treating the group as a group. Let's go to the Appearance panel. Now you can get to that by choosing Window and then Appearance. I've got my group selected. You can see that there is no fill or stroke here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a fill because we're looking at the group. So let's add a fill. At the moment the fill is black, but you know what? We can go and select our gradient, and now it's working exactly as it should, exactly as we would expect or hope it to, and exactly as these other people are not finding out because they're not applying the gradient to the group. So inside the group here, I've got my group selection tool selected. I can go and grab this letter A and move it, and you can see that as it moves, it's picking up the gradient in that location. So it's pink over here and it's yellow over here. So the gradient is seamless across all of these shapes. So far so good. We know how to put a gradient fill. Let's have a look now at a gradient stroke. So with our stroked objects, I'm going to select all of them. I'm looking here in the layers palette just to make sure that that's exactly what I've got. Again, trying to stroke all of these objects with our gradient is simply not going to work. You can see that again we've got a gradient around this shape, a separate gradient around this shape, and the letter A is just not playing the game at all. So let's undo that. We're going to put these in a group, so we'll go to Object and then Group. We already know that it's going to fail to simply just try and reapply the gradient to that group. Again, we're getting the exact same result as before. Most people at this stage would pack their bags and go looking for another solution. The solution doesn't need to be elsewhere. All you need to do is to go to the Appearance panel, select the group, and we're going to put a stroke on here. So I'm clicking on the stroke option. I'm going to select the gradient. And at first glance, it looks like that this has been even worse than before because nothing appears to be working. Well, the problem is that the gradient that we just applied is on a 1-point stroke line. So this stroke around this letter and this shape is much bigger than 1 point. So it's actually working. It's just that we can't see it because it's so small relative to the underlying stroke weight. So let's go and increase our stroke. And as we do, you'll see that our stroke is now going over the top of the original strokes, and we're getting the gradient effect exactly as we would expect, having had the experience of it working before. There's no reason why it shouldn't work here now. So again, we can go in and select any of these objects within this group. I'm just going to select the Move tool And if I move this object around, you can see it becomes really pink on this side, and it's going to become really yellow over here, and it's going to be the middle of the gradient over here. And the letter A can also be selected. You'll just want to do it using the group selection tool. So we're going to select the letter A, make sure that it is selected and nothing else. Press the letter V to get the selection box around it, and now we can move it and prove that it's changing color because the gradient is from pink on the left through to yellow on the right, and if it's the most leftmost character in this group, then it's going to be the pinkest. In the middle, it's going to be between pink and yellow, and over this side, it's going to be all yellow. So every time somebody says this can't be done in Illustrator and they try and prove it by creating a group and it doesn't work, and they say that you have to create a compound path, please look at what they're saying and take it with a grain of salt. See if you can't prove otherwise, because when you understand what's going on behind the scenes in Illustrator, you get to do this with characters that are fully editable. This letter A is just a character, and you can change it to anything you like. Everything here is fully editable because that's the way it's been set up. It's just smarter working in Illustrator when you understand what's going on and the power of the appearance panel. The appearance panel really is an incredibly powerful panel, and a lot of people operate without even having it turned on. I encourage you to turn it on and have a look and understand how to use it, because there are a lot of things that you can do in Illustrator using the appearance panel that simply can't be done without targeting that as your primary tool. Now, before we finish up, I have more Illustrator training at Skillshare.com. When you sign up for Skillshare, you get access to thousands of classes there, including over 250 of mine. In the description below is a Skillshare coupon for you, which is at least as good as the current Skillshare offer, and typically mine will be better. I also have Illustrator training at Udemy.com, and there's a referral link for every one of these courses in the description below. Please feel free to share these with family, friends, and co-workers. I hope you've enjoyed this video and learned things about Illustrator of which you were previously unaware. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll be alerted when new videos are released. Until next time, my name's Helen Bradley. Thank you so much for joining me here on my YouTube channel.